Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, you're very welcome. My name is Couscous and this is the Get Ahead family. In this channel, I share opportunities on how to migrate abroad through studies and through jobs. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing the best accommodation advice for prospective international students in the UK. This advice will also be applicable to prospective international students in other locations or destinations like the US, Canada, Australia. However, at the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing a special offer specifically for prospective international students in the UK. So you would like to stay tuned and watch this video till the end. If you're yet to subscribe, please do well to subscribe and let's get right into this video. So student accommodation is one of the very important aspects of your study abroad preparations. Accommodation will determine a lot of things: how you enjoy your study period, who you live with, where your accommodation is located, and I get a lot of questions about student accommodation. There was a video I made about student accommodation I had stayed in, and 2 years later people are still asking me questions about that particular student accommodation. So in this video, I'm going to break everything down for you, just in case you are contemplating how to go about securing a student accommodation. I'm literally going to answer all your questions in this video, and if at the end of this video you feel like you still have further questions, you can always drop your questions in the comment section. This video is also going to be in the student accommodation playlist, so that when you're done watching this one, you can check out other student accommodation videos I have done so that you can get your questions answered. What you should understand is that there are different types of accommodation you can get abroad as a prospective international student. When you go on accommodation listings, student accommodation listings, or other general accommodation websites, you will probably see terms like standard, single, like standard room, single room, premium room, Ensuite room, and all of that. So what you should know is that a single room is usually a very small room where it is just a single bed, not double, a single bed. A single bed is like the size of a bunk bed. So it's usually a single bed and a table and chair where you can sit to study. And then every other thing would be outside the single room, and then you would probably have to share it with other people. Okay, things like toilet, kitchen, sitting area. However, if you see a double room, a premium room, it means that first of all the room is a little bigger than a single room, then the bed is a double bed. A premium room means, oh, the space in that room is quite big, is a bit spacious than maybe a single or double room. So that's what you should take into account. And usually when you see a single room, of course it will be cheaper than a double room, and a premium room obviously will be bigger than a standard room. Some advertisers or some universities would have single or double room, and others would have standard or premium room. So that's what you should know. It is about the size of the bed, it is about the size of the room. Of course, single and standard is usually the smaller sizes, which you would know if you want to take it based on your budget. Okay, so now that you know what these terminologies mean, now we have the ensuite rooms. The ensuite rooms literally means that your toilet is ensuite. How do I put it? Ensuite. Your toilet is in the suite. So you would have your toilet in your room, your toilet and your shower area in your room. When you see a property or student accommodation and you see in the description that the room is ensuite, it means that you would have your toilet and your bathroom inside your room, which is going to be exclusive. However, if it says shared bathroom, shared toilet, that means the room does not have toilet and bathroom. So you have to take this into consideration in case you have a preference whether you would want to have your restroom to yourself or you would like to share. Okay, if it is a shared bathroom or shared toilet, you have to get to know how many rooms are in the house, how many shared bathroom and toilets are in the house, how many people are living in the house. Because you can see an apartment that says 6 rooms, 2 toilets, 2 bathrooms. However, maybe 4 of those rooms are couples, so that's gonna be 8 people. So you have to take this into consideration. And if you see a property description and you do not have clarity on how many people, whether they take people that smoke that I don't like people that smoke. If you have all those preferences and it is not stated in the property description, you always have to ask questions, okay? Nobody would be offended because you're asking questions. You have to know exactly what you're getting yourself into, because once you sign the contract for student accommodation, it is usually very difficult to break it. And as an international student, a new student in the UK, a foreigner in the UK, it might be difficult for you to meet their requirements of, oh, if you want to break your contract, you have to bring another person. It does not just end there. Whoever you want to bring has to meet the requirement of the landlord, and is also going to be solely at the discretion of the landlord whether they want to take that person as your replacement. So it is always safer to do all your background checks first before you commit to a particular student accommodation. Apart from Ensuite, then we have studio apartments are usually like the standard self-contained we have in Nigeria. So your studio apartment, you will have your bedroom, your kitchen, your restroom, that's your toilet and bathroom, all to yourself. You're not going to be sharing your space with any other person. Studio apartments are usually on the high side, on the expensive side, but based on what you want, your preferences and your budget, you can go for whatever suits your circumstances. Now, I would say that your budget will determine which of the accommodation you go for. For instance, budget will determine if you're going for a single room, standard room, a premium room, or an ensuite room, including a studio apartment. If your budget is £800 and you're going to study in London, you would either choose, do I want to rent an £800 single room in the center of London, or do I want to go a bit further, like 30 minutes train ride further, so that £800 can get me an ensuite room? It is up to you. What do you want to trade? Do you really care about walking to school? Do you care about the distance to school? Do you care about how far your accommodation is to school? In London, you usually 1 hour, 45 minutes, 30 minutes ride is fine, because like they say, everywhere in London is 1 hour. So it is not bad if you love your comfort and you say, okay, I would prefer going a bit further to get an accommodation that can cater for my needs, rather than staying in a cubicle in central London because I want to be close to campus. So you will determine your opportunity cost. What am I letting go? What is very important to me? What can't I do without? You will know. Do you love your space? Do you love your own toilet? Do you want to be in your own space exclusively? Then that should determine the kind of accommodation you go for, the location you go for. But if you're outside London, maybe an accommodation that is between 30 minutes to 45 minutes away from your campus is still okay, because to be frank with you, every city center is expensive. Getting accommodation in any city center at all is expensive. Another thing you should know about accommodations abroad is that it could either be fully furnished, partly furnished, or unfurnished. As an international student that is going to a new country, to serve you better to just get an accommodation that is fully furnished. Now, this is what you need to know. Most times when you see property descriptions on maybe student accommodation websites or private accommodation websites, you will see furnished. They will not state whether it is fully furnished or partially furnished. When you end up paying the fees and you come and you see there is only bed that is inside the room, there's no table and chair, and in the kitchen is only cooker, there's no microwave, or there's no jug, you will now start asking questions, and then they'll be like, oh, it is partly furnished, you take care of the rest. So these are the things you should be asking whosoever you're trying to get an accommodation from. Is it fully furnished? Is it partly furnished? What is it that I'm going to bring into the house? And also, some accommodation providers will say it is fully furnished and they will not even allow you to bring in any external things. For instance, the student accommodation I lived in London, we were not allowed to bring external heaters. And the heater that was in my room was so ridiculous that you can't even feel it. So I'm like, how is it that the heater you have provided me is not even sufficient and you don't want me to bring in heaters? Also, you may not be able to bring in things to the kitchen like rice cookers. It was prohibited because they feel like it's going to trap a lot of electricity and they don't want that. So these are the things you should ask about when you're trying to get student accommodation. Is it fully furnished? Okay. When you say fully furnished, what do you mean? Does the room have a bed? Does it have table and chair? Does it have chest drawers? Does the kitchen have everything? Cooker, microwave, toaster, kettle, and all of that. Some landlords or some student accommodation providers may just have the basic, that's the bed or chair and chest drawer, but they may not have table and chair in the room. Now, some landlords or some accommodation providers are very flexible to say, okay, what else would you like to have in your room? I can make that available. I've also seen some accommodation providers or landlords that say, oh, I only provide table in the rooms for my tenants because each time I provide a chair, people do not like it. People have specific preferences for chairs. So most times landlords don't even want to provide chairs because they want you to bring your own chair. And I remember my student accommodation had a chair, but when I went to a private accommodation, after I was done with school, there was no table and chair in the room, and the landlord was not willing to provide table and chair in the room. So if you want table and chair in the room, you have to get that. However, if you've already budgeted, oh, my accommodation cost is £800, and then maybe you're moving into the accommodation, you now have to spend more money to provide furniture that would make you comfortable. Is it not just better for you to find an accommodation that has everything? That way you know what you're doing. Also, when you are budgeting for your accommodation, you have to know that there's something called deposit, refundable deposit. Some people will collect refundable deposits, the equivalent of 1 month rent. Others will collect 50% equivalent of the rent. When I lived in a student accommodation, my university charged £300 for refundable deposits. That was a flat fee for everybody. So when you take care of your accommodation, when you live there throughout the period of your stay, and you are able to take care of properties, when you want to leave the accommodation, you have the right to request for a refund of your full deposit. However, if you have damaged any property in the accommodation when you are leaving, they are going to deduct from your refundable deposit. That is another thing you should take into account. Another thing you need to know is accommodations are usually bills inclusive or bills exclusive, or part bills included. A lot of people will tell you that, oh, accommodation is bills inclusive. However, when you arrive, you'll find out that it is just some of the bills. So what you should know is that when you're trying to get an accommodation, find out what are the bills that are included in the rent, because as an international student, especially if you're living in a student accommodation, it is always easy to just do bills included, so that once you pay your rent, you know that all the bills are included. Bills include council tax, which is usually the highest bill. However, students are not meant to pay council tax, which is why some people will just prefer student accommodation. When you stay in a student accommodation, you will not be made to pay council tax. However, if you go and live in a private accommodation, some landlords don't care that you're a student. They want their council tax because they're not going to use their money to pay council tax. So whether you're a student or not, they might not care. Other bills would include gas bills, which heating is under gas. If you put on your heaters a lot, especially in the winter, your heating bill or your gas bills will be a lot. Your gas bills will be lower in summer, especially because your heaters will not be on. However, in winter, your gas bills will be high. What you should ask your landlord or your accommodation provider is, if the bills is excluded, if gas bills are excluded from the rent, you can ask them, so what is the typical range of gas bill in a month? If they say £30, you can say, okay, that means in winter it will probably be £60. Can I afford this? If you can, then go ahead. But if you cannot, there's no need. There is water bill, there's electricity bill, there's Wi-Fi bills. So if they say the accommodation is full bills included, that means all of those bills are included once you pay your accommodation. However, if it is part bills, ask which bills are included and which ones are not, so that you know how to make your decision. Now, at the end of the day, you would now want to ask yourself, would I prefer to live in a university provided student accommodation, or in a privately provided student accommodation, or in a private house share? So a private house share is just like renting an apartment with other people. Some of them would not be students. They, could be any profession at all. However, in a strictly student accommodation, everybody in that accommodation is a student. Now, when it has to do with university provided accommodation, everybody in that accommodation would obviously be from that particular university, and some universities will have postgraduate accommodation, undergraduate accommodation. Some accommodations provided by university would be on campus, others would be away from campus. Now, there are private accommodations as well. Private student accommodations are provided by private companies who provide accommodations for only students. Now, when you're booking a private student accommodation, you might get to stay with students from different universities. However, every occupant is going to be a student, and usually student accommodations will not allow you to bring your dependents to live with you. So if you have dependents, you would have to go and find a private accommodation offered by private landlords. I've made a video showing you the different platforms where you can get private accommodation as a family person if you have dependents. So I'll link that video in the description box. When you're done, you would watch that video. Now, talking about private student accommodation, let me now introduce you to the offer I promised at the beginning of this video, which brings us to the sponsor of this video, Amber Student. I have previously shared on this channel how you can access private student accommodation through Amber Student. However, there is a promotion that they have for international students who would book accommodation with them. So Amber Student is offering an Amber Value Pack. What is the Amber Value Pack? Students who are going to study in the UK in 2023 will get a chance to win discounts worth up to £300 on their moving charges. It is applicable to all bookings made after 5th April. So if you're watching this video and you are yet to book your student's accommodation, when you book your accommodation using Amber Student, you're going to be able to take advantage of the Amber Value Pack. Students will receive discounts from some of the largest brands in the UK, including Leica, which is for SIM card, Eurosender, which help you for luggage shipping, Mizio, which is airport pickups, Housing Hand, which is guarantor service, and Unikit Out, which provides student essential kits. Now, the discount codes will be sent to students through emails after successful booking. I'm going to put the link through which you can book the accommodation in the description box to this video. Once you click the link in the description box to this video, you'll be directed to a page where you can register for your accommodation, and when you book your accommodation, you would receive a discount code via your email. Okay, this offer is only applicable to students who are going to study in the UK. So that's it. If you book an accommodation with Amber Student using the link in the description box to this video, you're going to be able to access the Amber Value Pack with all the benefits in it. You should know that terms and conditions apply. When you register, you can always ask them all the questions you have. I hope this video has been helpful. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. I will always be here. Check out the accommodation playlist so that you can get every other question you may have answered. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.